What's up, fam? Y'all know what it is. Silver TV and OG Nitty. Yeah, you know what's going on, man. Still a lot going on around. You know what I mean? First, before we get into all the stuff that's going on, I want to talk about uh, uh, this gang stuff, neighborhood bloods and stuff. You know what I mean? I want to talk
Yeah.
about that first. Then then I want to rap about Charleston White. I don't know if you've seen the video going around when he was standing on stands snitching when he was 16 years old.
Yeah.
When I get to that, you know what I mean? Tell me what your thoughts about that. What you think about that?
Okay.
But first, let's talk about this neighborhood banging stuff, this blood stuff. You know what I mean? I know it's a lot different. You know what I mean? Once you came home and to now when you was gone and coming home now and how the banging is on the street now, as you see how it is. You know what I mean? What's your perspective? What you think?
Man, I honestly, you still got some guys trying to hold on to uh, a lost love that was never there. But the fact of the matter is, man, a lot of this stuff is dying off now because a lot of these guys, it's not really in their heart anymore. They basically is doing stuff for protection, one. Two, to be able to have a title of some sort. Back in, when we was banging, that kind of stuff actually meant something, right? And we wasn't out there to terrorize the neighborhood. We was actually out there to protect our neighborhoods and to keep, a lot of the street life from out of our neighborhoods, our blocks and stuff like that, because that's where many of us laid our heads, our mothers and fathers laid our heads, and siblings, so forth and so on, right? So it's completely different out here now because it's like it's based on what you got, and it's so disheartening because I look back at many of my brothers that's still in prison, many of them serving life sentences. And I mean, they really, they hold this in their heart. I mean, they done court more time and everything. And to know that this thing is out here being sold is just, it's a dark day for the set.
See, and speaking of OG, you know, I mean, that's a different from back when we was banging back in the day and stuff. Like the new wave stuff, like even her, like you got cats becoming bloods without even doing just becoming bloods because somebody blessed a man and said, okay, you're blood.
Right.
And then, then they bless another homeboy and say they're blood. So that's what's going on. Like you got a lot, you know what I mean, the game is watered down. Now you got a lot of people who's not gang banging. They just, like you just said, want to be part of something. You know what I mean? Not knowing what they into, but just want to be part of something because somebody told them it was cool and it looked cool.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that's why, you know what I mean, you got so much with me of the stuff that you got going on now with the so-called gang bangers and stuff. That's why most gang bangers on the East Coast get no respect from the gang bangers on the West Coast because they already know the watered down shit on the East Coast that's going on with a lot of these cats over here on this side. You feel what I'm talking about?
Yeah, so, man, it's really rampant, and that's why I said that. Sadly to say, for all gangs, a lot of this stuff, man. I know, at least in Maryland, it's starting to die off. Some, you're gonna have your pockets. This, they still 10 toes down, and that's a great thing. But the overall dudes in this generation, they lack loyalty. Right? I'm gonna say in the last 2 generations, they lack loyalty, and what they believe to be loyalty can be bought. Right? So it's really bad what didn't happen because, like I say, it's like being on another planet on the inside when it come down to this because these guys really believe in this. I'm talking about man that really have studied the origin, of where it all started. And I'm talking about have actual study groups about it. Like they really believe in this. right? And I'm talking about, man, I done seen guys get flown to shock trauma for saying as little as fuck blood, right? And it's not that blood was the biggest or the baddest game. Like in the system, it's basically the two biggest joints in there is BGF and Bloods, right? But you know, it is sad because a lot of these dudes, man, they really devoted their life to this, you know, like and considered it almost as a religion, right? And then you got guys out here, like you say, being blessed and boy, how many beeps you got, you know, how many perks you got. Boy, look, I'm gonna go ahead and boy get you in there. This that ain't how that shit supposed to work, man.
Right, and that's where the disconnect come in at. Like when
Right,
the cats come home from behind a G wall and come home to these new age cats that's on the street, that's where the disconnect is. You feel what I'm talking about? He coming home because this what he know his life is about banging and stuff. These guys he coming home to is playing. They just want to take pictures and throw the setup saying, "Look at us, we partying, we smoking, we drinking."
right.
You feel what I'm talking about? Want to put no type of nothing in. You feel what I'm saying? I'm not promoting anything. But I'm saying that it is what it is. You know what I mean? I mean, what the organization is and what it stands for. You know what I mean?
You know,
So,
excuse me to cut you off. One of the things, man, that made me so prideful in the joint and when I was still banging before I retired, um, it made me so prideful because the neighborhood roller 20s, we had connections to the streets. A lot of Bloods on the inside that peoples on the outside have forgotten about them. And basically, they are so tight in there because they're truly all each other has, right? Especially with dudes doing any significant amount of time. So it was one of the things, like I said, we had that connection where we could call somebody on the street and say, hey, go check this out, right? This guy say he was such and such on the street and this who he is and blah, blah, blah. Go check that out. And we could get that done most time in the same day, right? Sometimes it might take us a day or two, you know, depending on what's going on the streets. But and we can say, hey, this guy's thumbs up or thumbs down. That's what made us. That's one of the things that made us powerful in there because we was considered as somebody say, hey, man, these guys they're really connected, you know, to West Coast, East Coast, all that. They really connected, and it was a thing that it made me prideful because so many other, you know, hoods, unfortunately, they didn't have that, right? But um, some of our people, I won't say all, but some of our people, they didn't forget us. They didn't forget me. They didn't turn it back. You know, they didn't do any of that, right? And you know, and Silver Wolf being one, right? He definitely was there, man. Sometime I can remember times that he would just write me a paragraph and just say, hey man, you know, make sure you keep your head up in that zoo. You know, don't let your head hang for no reason. And that letter, man, would like it would pump me up. You know, it would get me back up. You know, even it seemed like it always came at a time when the weight on my shoulders was the most heaviest, right? Because you know, one thing about being in there, you know, dudes out here, and this is no disrespect to the dudes who are doing the right thing, right? But it's like in there, especially when you're a big homie, your decisions have to always be correct because you have people's lives in your hand. It's almost like playing God, you know, is as bold as that might sound. But to be able to say, hey, go do this to that guy, go take this from that guy, and it get done.
So do you think that's gone from that's how it used to be to what it is now? Do you think you may still operate on the same level as back then? You was able to do things like that, but with the banging and stuff that's going on now, as you know of as right now, you think it's on the same level where you can do and say,
No,
yeah,
not at all, not even close. Because and I'm gonna keep it a stat. It's not even close. Because it's like now, like even then, and I know you gonna have a critic saying, "Well, hey man, he seemed like he was high behind his game." No, right? Because I was always front line. But one of the things that made the other uh, hoods kind of follow us, right? And the things we were doing because they were seeing progress. We never did anything for nothing, just for shits and giggles. We never, everything was a strategic move for forward progress as much as you can in prison, especially in a ultramax prison. But no, it's not even in the same stadium, same universe, if you ask me. Because like I said, these guys, they use this for wrongdoing, things that this nation never stood for, right? They do this, and they commit these heinous acts, and while holding the title of being Damu, and then the federal government, and local for that matter, they chomping at the bits and say, "Hey, look at the bad guys." So a lot of these guys, man, that when they're not taking care of the community, uh, they're not, trying to drive that, our communities have, black owned stores. They're not pressing the drug dealers or whatever. Say, hey, man, look, we need to get that store, so we can put Miss Such and Such, Miss Such and Such in there. And so we can start, having something in this neighborhood, start building this neighborhood up. You know, it seemed like that mission is gone, but it's not forgotten, and it needs to come back. So yeah, it's real different in there, man, because in there we might sponsor a walk. Yeah, we might sponsor a food drive, because that's what this thing probably had been about, right? But it has gone horribly, awry. But we'll talk about this more. My time is starting to run out. So we'll talk about this more the next time. Until then, peace. Make sure y'all hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. All blessed donations, y'all know it'll be at the end. You hit the like button. Take care.
Silver TV, y'all. Thanks for watching. Remember, I represent them gangsters.